Hey guys, it's Ben, the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin in Tucson, Arizona. Thanks for joining us today. I appreciate you being here. We all appreciate you being here. Anyone who's looking for good numismatic content, we know you have choices. Please like, share, and subscribe. Those things help the algorithm, and then also that just gets this content in front of the eyeballs of people who like numismatics. And we like numismatics. And so away we go. Talking numismatics, we have a really fun question here. Snail mail, bonus points. Here from Justin in Lynchburg saying, "Hey Ben, do you think there are any other coin series that are ripe for to be included in the strike attribution area? As an example, full bands, full head, etc. Any of this is anything available to be done into the major grading services? Buffaloes and V-nickels come to mind, but curious your thoughts. Thanks." All right, so strike designation. Let's talk a little bit about that. So for those of you who collect certain series, you already know, the series that have the full strike designations. So Standing Liberty Quarters have a full head designation. You can get full steps on a Jefferson nickel. You can get full bands on your Mercury dimes. You can get full bell lines on your Franklin halves. You can even get a full torch line on your Franklin Delano Roosevelt dimes. So there's actually a lot of designations already, and there are some that probably could be included. And let's walk through some ideas here. First and foremost, as I think of the earliest stuff that the U.S. put out, you could maybe include something that would have a strike percentage or a strike relative to other strikes. So what I'm thinking of here is a little bit more along the lines of how NGC handles its ancients, where the two attributions that they put on their coins that are fully graded is a strike attribution and a surface quality attribution, and that is a scale of 5 points. And I think that this is a good idea in general for coins. I like the idea of having more information versus less information. So in general, I've also espoused things like split grading, where you grade the front of the coin and the back of the coin separate. I just like more information than not. Something that gives you surface quality and strike designation are both, to me, good ideas to add to coin grading labels. But your early US coins, there's nothing that really pops out to me. And you get into your bust coinage and your seated coinage. Also, there's some strike variance, but for some of the earliest coins, there's so much strike variance that it's not worth really adding, in my opinion. You brought up Buffalo nickels, which I think is actually, of course, a pretty easy example to get to because there is a full horn attribution that sometimes collectors will look at. In fact, I'll see old collections where people will write full horn or 50% full horn or something along those lines. So it's already in the collector's mindset to put a full horn on things. V-nickels I hadn't really considered. And the more I thought about some of the different series that we see a lot of, Morgan dollars, and if you think about some of the gold coins that are out there, one of the things that I think for an actual variety attribution to have is you want to have an area that's really something that's unique to the coin and something that has some variation. So on V-nickels, I'm just thinking about what would be full, right? The entire design. Well, that kind of gets you back to the earlier concept of, those earlier US coins where the strike's all over the place, but there's not necessarily one key thing to focus in on. So I don't know that I would do anything with V-nickels, because if you just start talking about, well, it's a full Liberty on the headband, well, lots of coins have that strike variation. You could do that with anything. Right, but I'm focusing on something that I think has a very specific quality differentiator that you can look at and say, okay, we want to see this one thing on the coin and say, hey, that's a full blank, right? Fill in the blank. I kind of went through the gold coins, didn't see any that I thought this really needs a designation. So I think that your full horn is a good example. And I think the one thing that I would consider is going to be on another $50, which is actually the JFK $50, the Kennedy $50, and thinking a little bit more about, especially kind of those modern coins and how hard they get stuff from the 70s and 80s with what I think you would call the full shield on the back of the coin, where that center back portion is kind of the highest portion and it comes really flat and mushy, but you can also find them with really well-defined lines. Now, something somewhat similar is already done. Once again, the full horn designation, and then also you'll see some of this type of stuff also on your half dollars, your Walking Liberty half dollars, by the collectors, right, where they'll start talking about, you know, full dress lines. But once again, to get a full designation, it feels like you kind of have to have like a one focal point and not something over the whole strike of the coin, because that whole strike of the coin concept gets you back to just saying, hey, let's put a 4 out of 5 or a, you know, a 9 out of 10 or whatever you want to put onto it, strike designation for any particular coin. So you can put strike designations on any coin you wanted to, as far as like how well is it struck. But when it comes to actual designation, I'm thinking, you know, that full horn's a good example. And then I kind of think that Kennedy has a focus area you could look at and say, hey, this could be an area where we say, hey, full shield on the back. All right, guys, let me know if you have any opinions on what you think could use an extra strike designation over and beyond what's already in the open marketplace today. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Ben, the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.